And welcome back to Reek Knows Hoops. This is the next installment of the What's Next series, part 3. We're talking about the New York Knicks today. I got a special guest with me, my guy, Fountain of Hoop, one of the few dudes on NBA TikTok that actually knows basketball and actually talks about the game like it should be talked about. My guy, I appreciate you joining the channel.
Thank you, bro. Thank you for having me, man. Thank you for having
me. For sure. Hey, first off, just explain to the people what your account is on TikTok, what you talk about and where they can find you.
Yeah, no worries. Like Tariq said, my name's Fountain of Hoop on TikTok. You guys can find me there. I didn't make an Instagram page yet, but if you guys want to follow me on Instagram as well, it's A_JNJUA and another A. If you guys want to follow me. But yeah, it's just a mixture of different types of basketball content. I focus on, appreciating underrated players, posting about just different moments in the NBA, major moments. Maybe also some film breakdown as well. Just a lot of, I'm just trying to figure out my content, but that's basically a gist of it.
Man, he started like not too long ago. He already got 1,700 followers. Just had a big video blow up. He's kind of being humble right now. I'm not gonna lie.
Nah, man. I just started. Yeah, man. Appreciate it.
Not too long ago, for sure. But yeah, I'm gonna have all of his links in the description. And bro, you need to start a YouTube channel too.
Bro, I had one in 2018, 2019. I used to have a podcast. I used to post every week. But I'm gonna try to get more followers on TikTok. Then I'm gonna go on YouTube as for sure. That's the goal, actually.
That's smart for sure. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely be tuned in. I already be tuned in to all your TikTok videos anyway.
Thank you, man. Appreciate
for sure. But we're talking about the Knicks today. Before we get into the bulk of the Knicks talk, I'm kind of intrigued because if I'm not mistaken, you're Canadian, correct?
Yeah, I'm Canadian, bro. Born in Toronto.
So okay, that's even better. How did you become a New York Knicks fan? I'm really intrigued.
Oh man. So basically, so I don't know if you played it, but there was this game NBA Level 4. So my cousin used to babysit me back in the day. So we used to play that game all the time, right? Because we had to waste time or whatever. And he needed someone to play with. So he's like, all right, I'll pick a team. And he would always pick the Raptors. So I went through all the teams, and then I randomly picked the Knicks. I'm like, yo, I like the colors. And then you know how NBA Live goes, you're a kid, so you just start looking at the roster, you start looking at the ratings, you start looking at everybody, then you start Googling, YouTubing. That's what started it all. So since NBA Level 4, I've been a Knicks fan, like diehard Knicks fan.
That's so funny because quick story. That's the same way I selected the Celtics, bro. I got on NBA Live 08. And keep in mind, my dad bought this game. This was probably like 2009 when I actually started playing it. So it had been out for like over a year. And I was just bored one day. I'm like, I'm gonna see what this game's hitting for. So I picked it up, and then I found the Celtics. Had no idea about Paul Pierce, KG, Ray Allen. And I just started playing the game, and they was good. I'm like, this is my team, and I'm into basketball now.
That's what happened with me, man. Exactly.
I was pretty intrigued. Like when I heard you was like Canadian, I'm like, how did he become a Knicks fan? Like that just seems so off the wall. Like I could understand if he was like, 40 years old or something, but you're not. So
no, bro. No, but that's what I was gonna ask you because I'm like, yo, you're from Ohio. So I'm like, yo, this guy's from Ohio, but he's a Celtics fan. I'm like, yo, but they had battles though, like the Cavs and the Celtics. So that's crazy.
Well, see, I'm not like originally from. I spent the bulk of my life in Ohio, but I'm not originally from here because my dad was in the Air Force, so we moved around a lot. Yeah, so I've been a little bit of everywhere, and there's just all my sports teams are like all over the place, basically, like all over the country. But yeah, that's enough. Origin talks about our fandoms. Let's get to the New York Knicks because it was, I would say, a disappointing season compared to the 2021 year, which saw you guys in the playoffs. You guys were the 4 seed. The Garden was rocking. But this season just wasn't the same. Julius Randle took a step back. Just a lot of inconsistencies. What do you think was the biggest reason for the Knicks' downfall this season?
Man, I don't know where to start, but what I'll say is just I think it as sad as this sounds, bro. I think it's because of when we signed Kemba, I think that's what messed it up. Because I think when he came in, Randall had to adjust his game. And Tibbs then had to adjust the offense because initially my theory is I don't really think Tibbs wanted Kemba. I don't really think Tibbs wanted because he's not a Tibbs type point guard. He doesn't really attack no more. He's not a defensive guard either. So I don't think he really wanted him. So trying to adjust to that. And I'm not gonna put the blame on him, but I think signing him and then signing Fournier, I think it was just too many mouths to feed. and I think that's what started that. That's what gave us kind of put us in a weird kind of put us in a weird position. So, and then by second half of the season when we started picking it up, it was just too late. So I think that's one of the reasons why. I think that's the main reason why we had such an off season. And then obviously Randall's regression. That's like another. That's I don't even want. That's crazy.
I would say Randall, like he was still fine. Like he was okay this year.
Yeah.
But compared to the All NBA season, it was a big step back. And I was in the mindset when I saw the Kemba signing, I saw the Fournier signing. I was like, oh, this is a really good offseason for the Knicks. And I think majority of people probably felt that way. And I didn't even think about it from that perspective. Like Randall had to really adjust from being the only really offensive option other than RJ Barrett. So then, you got RJ, you got Kemba, you got Fournier on that big contract. So that's a big adjustment for him. And then, there's just like the Kemba experiment didn't really work out. There was just a lot going on for the Knicks. You mentioned how the second half of the season really picked up. And from my perspective, it seemed like because the young guys were getting a lot more minutes. What were your impressions from, not only RJ Barrett, but Obi Toppin, Emmanuel Quickley, Quentin Grimes, and others, once they got the opportunity second half of the season? Bro,
so that's the main thing, right? You let the young guys play. That's what Knicks fans are always preaching, especially the Tibbs, where it was like, you got to play these young guys because that was our main issue. Like our starters were horrible, not individually, but our starters together were horrible. But then our second unit would win us games. Even in the beginning of the season, our second unit was winning us games. So that was Quinn Grimes, that was Quickly, that was all these guys. So that's why a lot of people are preaching on it. And then once Kemba got out of the rotation, once there was injuries here and there, Derrick Rose got hurt, then a lot of people got to play. And then when they shut down Randall, a lot of people, like guys like Obi, got to play a little bit more, and he got to see it just came to fruition, right? Because their on-off numbers, like all the young guys, like even in smaller sample sizes, they were plus in all categories. There were pluses, right? Whether it be plus minuses, any single any like advanced statistic you look at, all those young guys that you named, like they were a positive. So seeing that it didn't really, I would say, it proved my point. It proved every Knicks fan's point that you can win games with these guys. That's how I thought. And seeing Obi play more minutes, I'm not surprised seeing Obi play so well because I know he can play that well. It's harder to play when you're only playing 12, 13 minutes a game compared to you're playing 30, 35 minutes a game, right? Same with Quickly. Quickly's coming off the bench, but when he started and you saw him, I think he had like a triple-double. He had multiple double-digit assist games. He won that game in Miami. And then RJ, I think on January 1st and forward, he was averaging 26 a game because the offense was running through him. Quinn Grimes, he started before he wasn't even in the rotation. And then Quinn Grimes was shooting at close to a 40% clip from three, and he was having great defensive games. But that's just trust at the end of the day, right? And getting the opportunity. That's how I felt about them.
Yeah, that's a great breakdown. I remember the end of the season. I remember the Quickly games. He had a lot of big games. Obi Toppin, didn't he drop 42 one of the last games of the season?
He had 28, 35. No, sorry, he had 21, 28, 35, and then the last game he had 42. Last game he had 42.
Cooked once, like you said, once the opportunity was there, he was cooking. I'm a big fan of Quentin Grimes. I think he's going to be a great rotational player for the next 10, 15 years. I think he's that good.
Yeah.
And then this is the guy I really want to talk about is RJ Barrett because
of course.
Can you explain to me why national media, NBA Twitter just despises RJ Barrett? Is it because he's a Knick? Is it because he's Canadian? Is it because he went to Duke? I don't understand because he went to Duke. I'm a Carolina fan. I'm actually a big fan of RJ Barrett's game in the NBA.
Bro, I think you know what it is. I think it started when he went to Duke because I think you probably remember when he went to Duke, people can say whatever they want. Zion was obviously the best player, but RJ was the closer of that team, right? And our Coach K ran the offense through RJ no matter what. And I think a lot of people didn't like that. And then that whole narrative started RJ got to pass the ball, Zion. RJ's not passing the ball, Zion. And I think that's what started it. And then he went to the Knicks. And you already know how national media talks about the Knicks. So once he went to the Knicks, I think people just started hating on him. And now the national media doesn't even talk about him either, right? Like you said, every list that comes out, every ESPN list that comes out, he's not on it. Any top 25 list, under 25, he's not on it. I think before the season started, they had Alex Caruso and Taylor Horn Tucker rated higher than him. It's come on, bro. You know that's not true. And I don't even think ESPN rated him a top 100 player coming into the season. So what I think his play style is kind of boring, to some people, because he's more of that Jimmy Butler, Jaylen Brown mold, early Jaylen Brown, where it's when you watch him, he can't really like it's not flashy. But when you look at the scoreboard, he has like what 28 and 6, and it's just preconceived notions like, oh, he can't go right. It's like, bro, if you watch the game, he goes right all the time. Like, I don't know. I think it's just his game's not flashy. Like, he doesn't have like that tween has he crossed. Like, you know, people just like watching that. So he's not that type. But I think that's what it is. Like, initially he went to Duke, and then I think that's where it started. Like, the hate started for him. People don't really care about him.
Yeah, because you mentioned the top 25 list. Those were bad. But I remember near the end of the season, they did a top 40 list. And RJ was not on it. I'm like, bro, I looked at that. I probably tweeted. I'm like, man, that's bogus as hell. Like, bro, there's no way. There's 39 young players better than RJ Barrett.
Bro, he didn't make his all-rookie team. Like, go back and look at that all-rookie team. There's like Eric Pascal, whatever his name is, Terrence Davis, Brandon Clark. All these guys made it over him. It's like at that time that was crazy. And then like, it just like that's what I knew. That's what I knew what type of narrative people were on when it came to him.
And like his rookie year wasn't great, but I don't think it was god awful like they were trying to make it out to be. Like he deserved at least an all rookie second team. At least.
Bro, Terrence Davis, he's not even in the NBA right now. Like that's ridiculous. Oh, that's crazy.
Eric Pascal doesn't even get rotational minutes anymore.
Where's he at? Where is he at, bro?
Last time I checked Utah, I don't even know if he's still playing. This is no Eric Pascal slander, but yeah, I don't remember seeing him play this past season.
He wasn't, bro.
Yeah, it's like what's not to like about RJ? His efficiency probably could improve. Like that's maybe the one thing. But you mentioned he was averaging like 25 points per game, plus over January 1st to the end of the season. His assist numbers got better. His defense has been really elite. I remember first game of the season, he had Jason Tatum in shackles, like
in jail, bro, in jail.
And that happened most of the games when the Celtics and Knicks played this season. It was like a lot of RJ Barrett clamping up Jason Tatum. Like he's shown good two-way ability. I love when the offense was being ran directly through him instead of Julius Randle. I think that's when the Knicks saw the most success, and I think that really opened his game up and opened others up too because he's a above average playmaker. So that's why I'm excited to see if moving forward Tibbs decides like we got to run the offense through RJ Barrett. Do you think that's like plausible? Do you think that's capable with Julius Randle still on the team?
Man, see, whatever I say about Julius is gonna sound like I'm a hater. So I don't want to sound like a typical Julius Randle like hater. I don't hate Julius. I think he's a good basketball player. I just think for RJ to succeed, for Obi to succeed, he cannot be on the team. It's like he just can't be on the team. Not like no disrespect to him. It's just it can't happen with a guy like Julius on the team right now. It just can't happen. It honestly could if this is the thing. If Randall played how I think Randall played how I think he should play, then I think he'd be more productive. But I don't think he wants to play like that. Like in my opinion, like if Randall played like how he played in Kentucky, where he set screens, because he doesn't set screens no more. If you watch any Knicks games, Randall will never set a screen, and if he does, it's not a good screen at all, right? But if he just sets good screens, and instead of taking like 18 shots, he takes like 12 shots, and he's in the paint, and he's grabbing offensive glass because he has amazing natural ability, right? He can run the floor like a gazelle. He can rebound the ball. He's strong. You can't teach those physical attributes, but he doesn't want to play like that. He wants to play like Kawhi, right? So you can't have that and you can't have that and then have RJ and Obi thrive. It's hard. It's just a tough place to be in.
Yeah, it would take him to really have to buy into being like the second or third guy. And I don't think he's shown that he can do that yet. I mean, maybe he looks in the season in review. He has a talk with Tibbs, who apparently he respects a lot. And he's like, okay, maybe I'll have to take a little bit of a back seat. But I mean, he's getting paid all that money. And he's had the success too. So it's going to be hard for him to probably take that step back, especially with Jalen Brunson coming in, which I know we're going to talk about. But him coming into the scene, that's another ball dominant type of guy, somebody that needs the ball to really be effective.
I don't think the thing is about the money thing. If you go back and look at Sport Track or whatever website it is, I think I'm thinking about it in the top of my head. I think he's like the 50th highest paid player in the league right now, like 50th, or I think like 55th or something. So like I know people look at the extension and they're like, yo, it's a lot of money, but for like where he's ranked salary based, I think he is where he's supposed to be. You know what I mean? Like paying wise, because the NBA is going up, right? So I agree. Like I think the length is a lot of money, like the length of it. but I think the money itself is not that much. So, but that's where I am with Randall, especially financially. That's where I am.
Definitely. That's a good transitioning point because I said the same damn thing about Jalen Brunson. Because people are looking at the contract like, oh my God, why are they paying him $104 million? I'm like, if you look at it in like the grand scheme of things, he's like the 14th or 15th highest paid point guard, which is probably where he is on the pecking order. Like he's like middle, like he's like probably 14th or 15th. Like you could probably name 14 point guards better than him. That's how much he's getting paid. Yeah. And it's like the Knicks did a lot of things in the draft, so they didn't have to take on any extra salary. They traded away Noel, Alec Burks. They did all that because they were banking on we have to get Jalen Brunson. So you got to throw him the bag to get him away from the Mavericks. And they did that. You know, that was their big acquisition. So just talk to me about Jalen Brunson and why this is not an overpay at all.
Bro, like you said, right? Like he's like the 14th highest paid point guard. Sorry, my bad. My stuttering's going on.
You're good, bro.
He's the highest paid. He's the 14th highest paid point guard in the league right now. And you look at people above him. D'Angelo Russell's making $31 million. You look at Malcolm Brogdon, he's making around the same amount. Mike Conley's making like $29 million. Lowry's making $29 million. So it's like that's how much you gotta pay for a good point guard, and he's a good point guard. That's how much you gotta pay. So I wasn't mad about the deal at all. If anything, like $104 million is less than what people thought it was gonna be. So I had no problem with the deal. I had no problem with what they did in the draft, in my opinion, because they tried to get Ivy. They couldn't really get him. So instead of taking someone they didn't really feel comfortable with, they just traded it out, got 3 first-round picks from OKC. So I had no problem with the draft. And Brunson in general, bro, Brunson, in my opinion, is like a metronome. Like, if you watch every game, there's no flaws. Like, there's like, especially efficiency-wise, like, I don't know if you ever seen it, but I think Kurt Goldberry, I think that's what his name is. He put in his shot chart for the past 2 years. So I think red meant if it was red, it was extremely efficient, and if it was white, it was not efficient at all. Brunson's entire shot chart for the past 2 years is the entire court is red. The entire court is red. So, like, he's one of the most efficient point guards in the league right now. He's 24, 25 years old, and frankly, he was the second best player on a Western Conference team, right? And he won them a Utah job. He won them a series without Luka. So I think $104 million. Like that's what he should be getting paid. Like I thought he was gonna get paid more, in my opinion. That's what I thought. I thought he was gonna get paid more.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna get like at least 110. So I think the 104 is kind of a steal in my eyes, I would say. And like you said, like super efficient. And notice this is not like a slight at Luka Doncic. Obviously, when he's off the floor or he's not playing games, somebody's got to step up. But that's not guaranteed that you're going to win games or even be successful. Yeah. I remember early on in the season, like around January-ish, Luka missed a good chunk of time. And Jalen Brunson stepped up, and they were, staying afloat. They were winning games with Jalen Brunson being the guy. You mentioned the Jazz series where I think he averaged like 29 points per game or something like that. He had the 40 ball in that series. Like, he's shown like when the offenses ran through him, not only if a decent team's around him can he win a game, but he's going to be super effective at the same time. Yeah. So, and that's an interesting point. I didn't really know about the Ivy thing, so I'm glad you said that. I'm kind of glad y'all didn't get Jaden Ivey because y'all were trying to make him a point guard, and then you'd have.
No, he's not a point. He's not
exactly. And I like Quickly better off the ball. I think he's more versatile off the ball. So I think him and Brunson could probably coexist. And then what y'all did in free agency, I think supplements what I was kind of mad about in the draft. How y'all probably could have had Jalen Duran, but y'all decided to trade the pick away, which is fine. Because you end up re-signing Mitchell Robinson for a very good deal, like $15 million a year. And then the Isaiah Hartenstein deal, I like that one a lot.
Yeah, I like that too. I like that.
I think that's a steal. So, like, you guys have a pretty good roster moving forward. Just talk about the free agent signings, the Mitchell Robinson re-signing. You just mentioned Brunson and the Hartenstein move. Would you say, like, this was a successful free agency overall for the Knicks?
Well, I'm going to start with the Mitchell Robinson signing. I like the signing, but Mitch, to me, I don't think like a lot of people that don't watch the Knicks, like they're not really tapped in. Like Mitch is a really good basketball player. I think he's the best offensive rebounder in the NBA right now. But he has all the physical tools. But it's just the maturity level for me. Like if you know about Mitch, like the maturity level isn't really there. And giving him like $60 million for 4 years, I was kind of hesitant. But seeing where other bigs get paid, like you said about Brunson, I'm okay with it. I wasn't mad at it. The Hartenstein deal I really like. So like I think 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago before free agency started, I started like watching a lot of Hartenstein tape because like I was looking at all the free agents like on Sport Track, and it's a Hartenstein was a free agent. I watched a couple games this season. I'm like, yo, he's kind of nice though. He's a great playmaker. He's 24 years old, has good touch around the rim, and I think he was the G League Finals MVP or something. I think 2 years ago or a year ago. So I'm like, yo, the potential's there. Efficiency's there. He didn't really shoot a high volume of threes, but I think he shot 46% from three, if I'm correct, which is like he's not going to be a stretch five or whatever, but you can't really leave him open if it's the last possession of the game or what, not last possession, if it's like the last possession of a shot clock, like he can hit those, right? So and the deal was good too. I think it was 2 years, 16 million, 2 years, 17 million. Like that's a great deal. So I thought this free agency was, I would say like a A- B+ for me, but the only thing for me is it would have been an A+ if we found a way to move Randall. So if we can move Randall in this free agency, this would be like an A right now. That's just what I have to say about that.
We're gonna get to the hypotheticals real soon, but just to talk about Hartenstein real quick. I remember he played for the Nuggets, and there was a joke like among NBA Twitter, like he's just like a baby Jokic. Yeah. So like you mentioned his playmaking, like he's just like that. And I remember there was a game this season. It might have been against the Utah Jazz. He came in the game. I think they were down like 20. I think this is when Paul George finally returned. Yeah. And he helped spark a comeback. Like he was he was putting dudes in the cup. He was pick and roll dunking. Like he was doing a lot, blocking shots, grabbing big boards. Like he was doing a lot to help them back into that game. They eventually ended up winning it. But I think that was a steal because he's one of the best backup centers in the league. And you know, Mitchell Robinson, even though he's good when he's on the court, he tends to get injured pretty much every season. And he gets in foul trouble a decent amount too, even though he got a little better last year. But it's just good to have. I mean, you get rid of Noel, who was kind of injury prone, but when he was on the court, he was one of the best backups in the league. You replace him with somebody that's probably just as good, maybe even better in some areas with Hartenstein. So yeah, that's a good deal. I would agree with you. I think like y'all's off season was about a B+. I think pretty solid. I think it's more safe than last offseason. I think last offseason, the moves looked good, but they were kind of like home run swings. Ended up striking out with the Kemba. Even though Fournier, that's a lot of money. He was pretty solid for y'all last year. Like
he was really good. I think second half of the year, he was like the best 3-point shooter in the NBA. Like he had the most 3-pointers made. I think he shot the highest percentage, like fire second half of the year. So he's decent. Yeah, I agree.
If he can play half as good as he does against the Celtics, that contract's gonna look great.
Bro, he cooks y'all, bro. He cooked y'all this whole season, bro. It was crazy.
First game of the season, he was big. Then the game where RJ hit that BS game winner. I think he hit like 10 threes that game too. Like he was cooking us all year.
But the thing is that RJ game winner changed your season though. It changed your season though. So like Tatum talked about that too. Like your whole season changed after that. So you gotta thank RJ for that. You know what I mean?
Shout out to RJ and the Knicks, man. But you mentioned wanting Randall to be moved, not because he's a bad player. Not because you hate him, just because he probably doesn't fit the direction of the team. Seems like it's a little more younger. You mentioned Brunson's like 24, 25. A little more of a younger team, and I think that's good for the Knicks moving forward. Would you entertain a Donovan Mitchell trade? Or would you stay away from it?
No, I would not do a Donovan Mitchell trade. I'm not the highest on Donovan Mitchell, bro. Like, I traded like for that to be, because that's the all-in move, right? Like, if I got to trade for Donovan Mitchell, that's my all-in move. And I don't think Donovan Mitchell's worth the all-in move to me. Like, to me, an all-in move is like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I would do an all-in move for him, or I would do an all-in move for D Book. Like, that's an all-in move to me. Like, not Donovan Mitchell. To me, it's like, I think people think he's. I'm not gonna disrespect him. Like, he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, but he's not a number one option. Like, I'm not gonna trade everything. I'm not gonna trade the farm for you type of thing. So I wouldn't, in my opinion, trade for Donovan Mitchell. That's just me though.
Interesting. I know a few like Knicks fans that I really respect. They say the same thing, especially with the Brunson move, because then small ass backcourt just doesn't look great. And I kind of agree, because you would probably have to include like one of your nice young pieces. And I just kind of like building with the youth right now for y'all. And I agree, like Donovan Mitchell, he's a number one on like a mid-tier playoff team. But when you're trying to be, get like you said, that's an all-in move. You're trying to get to a championship level. I don't know if he can be a number one on a championship team unless it's perfectly constructed around him. So that's a fair point for sure.
Bro, you look at how much like Rudy took. Like Rudy took 5 unprotected first-round picks, right? Like, you already know Danny Ainge is, if Rudy took 5, like I don't even want to know what Donovan Mitchell's going to take. And you look at Atlanta, for example, right? They gave up their whole, like, they gave up everything for DeJounte Murray. Like, I like DeJounte, but that's their move. Like, they can't do anything. Like, what else are they going to do, right? Like, are they going to win a championship? Probably not. But that's like, everybody praised something like that. In my opinion, I'm like, you could have waited. Like, you could have waited for something else. You know what I mean? So Donovan Mitchell's kind of in that same realm to me, like that Atlanta trading for DeJounte, like, or Minnesota trading for Rudy. Like, I don't really, like, I wouldn't do it, in my opinion, personally. I just wouldn't do it.
Yeah, I kind of had the same sentiments. Like, I say picks are overrated if you're trying to be like a contending team, but to trade those picks, like you said, it has to be a move that really moves the needle. And like the Rudy Gobert one, I know we're getting a little sidetracked, but the Rudy Gobert one is like, it moves the needle for them. Like, they're going to be a better team, but are they going to be a championship team? And then for the Hawks, it's like, you're maybe not a playing team now. Like, that's how that needle moved. And I'm a big DeJounte guy. I think Rudy is a little overhated, but both of those trades, like, you're giving up a lot of first round picks, mortgaging your future for like very minor moves that might make you like a few seats higher.
Yeah, exactly. It's just not worth it. Like you said, like the Atlanta thing, like both those guys never played they never played off ball in their entire lives. Like DeJounte played point guard his whole life. Trae Young played point guard his whole life. Like, how are they gonna adjust to that, right? But like, yeah, exactly. Like, you can't. I don't know. That's just not worth it to me. Like, doing that is not worth it to me. I'd much rather keep my assets than trade for a guy like Donovan.
Definitely when you're a team like the Knicks, so I think it's in a pretty good position, got good young players, has draft capital, and pretty solid at drafting since like the new regime has come in. Like, just quickly, since we were talking about Julius Randle, do you think like there's any viable trade options for him right now? Like, have you heard anything in like the Knicks spaces or anything that seemed doable, without having to give up too much to get rid of his contract?
I've heard some things. Like, I know people like that. I know people that are connected a little bit, like in the Knicks, like not in the Knicks, but like people that write for the Knicks or whatever, and they follow me, so we talk sometimes. So I know some things. I don't think I'll be able to say it, but like there's certain teams that would trade for Randle. I'm not gonna lie. He's just the thing about the Knicks though. Like the thing about this new regime is that they are trying to win every single deal, right? They're trying to get as much value for every single deal. You look at all their deals they've made. They've at least got like a second round pick back. They got some type of asset back, right? So they're trying to win deals. And I don't think the Knicks are willing to go get 75 cents on the dollar for Randle right now. I think they're like, yo, we can get something good for him. We just got to build up his value again. So I think there are deals available. I think Portland can still make a deal for him. I think Utah can still make a deal for him. Teams like that. But to me, like, I much rather like I don't want to get a player back. Like, if you could just give me like if you give me like a first, or you give me like a rotational piece, like something similar to how, when the Raptors traded Rudy Gay in 2012, like everybody at the time, a lot of casual people were like, well, why did the Raptors do that? Like, they traded for like 3 role players, John Salmons or whatever, and a couple picks. But if you actually like watch the Raptors, you watch the game, Rudy Gay was not a good basketball player for them. So yeah, like they probably got 75 cents on the dollar, but that made them a playoff team. So I would do something like that, like where in the moment people might think it's not a good deal, but I'd much rather do that than like just get him off the team instead of like, oh, let's get value for him. That's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, that's definitely how it usually is when you're giving up the best player in the deal. Like, like people might say like, oh yeah, they got fleeced, but in the end, you like the Paul George from Indiana to OKC trade. Like, everybody was like, Oladipo's not good, and who knows about Sabonis. On those who ended up being all-stars.
They were Oladipo was all NBA like that year.
Exactly.
All NBA. That was crazy.
Exactly. So that's a fair point. Last question I really have is, what in your mind is a successful season for the Knicks in the 22-23 year?
Oh, it depends who you are. Okay, honestly, if we're a playing team, that's successful to me. And if the young guys are playing, like if we're a playing team and most of the young guys are playing heavy minutes, I think it's a successful season. And I feel like a lot of people bash Tibbs a lot. They say that, oh, he doesn't really play a lot of young guys. My opinion is he just got to get trust. Like, as soon as he gets your trust, like, he'll play you, right? And I feel like that's the same with Quickly, Grimes, all these guys. Once those guys have trust, like Tibbs trusts those guys. So I think as long as the young guys play and they're like a 9-10 seed, that's that's a success to me. Progression to me is not always linear. So if we do something like that, like we go from 11 seed, 12 seed to a 10 seed, like that's fine to me. Like I think being respectable is what matters.
That's the quote of the video. Progression is not always linear. And I agree. I think a play-in berth, like, because I think the East is going to be super competitive this year. Like, I'm on record. I think Detroit's going to be a lot better. I think Orlando's going to be better. There's maybe only like 1 or 2 tanking teams in the Eastern Conference. So I think if the Knicks could steal a 10 seed, that would be a pretty good year for y'all, especially like you said with the development. Hopefully, Cam Reddish, is he like back? Is he re-signed?
Yeah, he's still on the team, but like, I don't know, bro. I'm not that high on Cam. Like a lot of people are. I think Cam is really polarizing. Like a lot of people don't really like him too. Like either people think he's like not that good, or he's like the next Paul George. And I'm like, bro, he's not either or. Like, you know what I mean? I'm in the middle with Cam, to be honest.
Probably somewhere in the middle. I just want to see him get more minutes. It seemed like y'all traded for him and he barely played.
He played though. Like before he got hurt in Sacramento, like Tibbs closed games with him. Like the last 4 or 5 games before he got hurt, like Tibbs was closing games with him. So I think he was in a good rhythm, and then unfortunately he got hurt. He
stays getting hurt too. I remember he was playing good for Atlanta, then he got hurt. So
but he has
stay healthy.
He has that thing though. I'm not gonna lie, like where I don't know if you notice it when someone's like a really good basketball player, like when they're floating on the court, like he's like he's just gliding on the court, like bro, he's nice, but then he'll take a really bad shot. I'm like, you gotta sit down right now. I don't know, Cam. I don't know about you.
Nah, I feel that for sure. Well, yeah, that's all I have. Do you have anything else to say before we wrap up?
Follow my guy Tariq. Follow my guy Tariq on all platforms. And all I gotta say is I appreciate content creators like you, because normally everybody else is a casual when it comes to Knicks fans. Like they're always bashing them. They're always saying they're in a bad place, like Stephen A. Smith. So seeing someone who isn't a fan, but they're tapped in, like I appreciate that. So that's what I'll say. And if y'all want to follow me, I'm found a hoop on TikTok. Please do. I appreciate it. That's pretty much it, man. That's pretty much it.
I must just say real quick, what you said on your live when I joined that one time, that really like that touched me. Like no cap. Like that really, I was like, man.
Oh, like really I watch your video. Like I watch your videos, bro. I watch your videos all the time, bro. I'll be at work. I'll be watching them. Like I'll be doing dishes. I have it in the background, because like the way you like present yourself, the way like it's articulated, everything, like music. I love it. I tapped into your draft. Like I watched the whole 4-hour draft the next day. Like I watched the whole draft, bro.
Bro, that's crazy love, bro. I appreciate you a lot, my guy. Like he said, follow him on TikTok. I'm gonna leave all his links in the description. His Twitter, his Instagram. Hopefully he makes a YouTube soon, so I can add it to the links as well. Yeah. But my guy, I appreciate you for tuning in. Everybody leave a like, subscribe if you are new. I do not think I said that at the beginning. And we'll be back next time with probably the next installment of the What's Next series, unless Kevin Durant somehow gets traded. But that'll probably be the next video. I appreciate y'all. I'm out. Peace.